All right, let's talk about running. Today, we're going to dig into some really cool new science that might just flip everything you think you know about training on its head. Whether you're trying to smash a PR or just, get a little bit faster on your morning jogs.
So, let's kick things off with something I bet you've felt before. It's that dreaded performance plateau. You're out there, you're putting in the miles, you're being consistent, but your times just are not budging. It feels like you're just spinning your wheels. So what's going on here? So yeah, let's talk about this plateau. To really get to the bottom of why just trying harder doesn't always work, we're going to look at this really interesting study that was done on recreational running communities over in Purwokerto, Indonesia. It gets right to the heart of why so many of us get stuck. What these researchers found was a community of really dedicated runners. I mean, these folks were out there training several times a week, but they weren't getting any faster. And the reason was pretty simple. They were just running. There was no real structure, no specific plan to their training. And this number right here, this is the real kicker. A whopping 55.3% of the runners in this study had never done any kind of structured speed training. Over half of them. They were completely missing this key ingredient for improvement.
This is why hitting that wall is just so maddening, right? We run for all these amazing benefits, for our hearts, our minds, our whole body. And getting better, seeing that progress, that's a huge part of the fun. When that stops, it can feel pretty discouraging.
Okay, so if just going for a run isn't cutting it, what's the answer? Well, it's all about structure. And that structure is designed to boost one key number, the one metric that's really crucial for busting through that plateau.
And that number is your VO2Max. Now, the best way to think about this is like the size of your body's engine. The higher your VO2Max, the bigger and more efficient your engine is. It means you can take in and use more oxygen, which lets you run faster and for longer. It's that simple.
And this is exactly what those runners in the first study were missing out on. Workouts like interval training, they have a very specific purpose. They're built to push your body right to its limit of using oxygen. That stress is the magic key, really, that forces your body to adapt and build a bigger engine.
Okay, so now we know intervals are the answer. But that opens up a whole new can of worms, doesn't it? It's not just about doing intervals. It's about how you do them. And this is where another really, really cool study comes into the picture. So, picture this. Scientists basically set up a showdown, a face-off between two super popular but totally different ways of doing interval training. They wanted to see, once and for all, which one was actually better for cranking up that VO2Max. So, on one side, you've got these longer, tough but steady intervals, 4 reps of 3 minutes, hard. On the other side, you have these super short, all-out, leave-it-all-on-the-track sprints, 24 reps of 30 seconds, flat out. So, what's your bet? Which one do you think works better?
And the winner? Well, this is where it gets super counterintuitive. The results were genuinely shocking, and they kind of flipped that whole no pain, no gain, go harder, go faster mentality completely on its head.
Get this. Even though the short sprints were run at a faster pace, literally 100% of their max speed, it was the longer 3-minute intervals that were way more effective. And why? Because they allowed the runners to spend more time in that sweet spot, that optimal zone where your body is actually improving its oxygen uptake.
And the numbers here are they're crystal clear. The runners doing the long intervals racked up almost 5.5 minutes in that crucial training zone. The sprinters, just over 3 minutes. That is a huge difference. We're talking over 60% more quality training time for the long interval group.
But wait, it gets even weirder. Here's the real twist. The workout that was less effective, well, it felt just as hard to the runners. And not only that, the short sprints actually jacked up their heart rates even higher.
I mean, the researchers said it perfectly themselves. Basically, a sky-high heart rate doesn't automatically mean you're getting a better workout for your endurance. Just because your heart feels like it's about to pound out of your chest doesn't mean you're getting the right kind of training stimulus. And this chart just drives that point home. Look at this. The short intervals had the athletes' hearts pumping above 90% of max for almost 14 minutes. That's way more than the 9 minutes for the long intervals. So if you were just looking at your watch, just looking at your heart rate, you'd think the short sprints were the superior workout, and you'd be wrong. Okay, so let's bring this all home. What are we supposed to do with all this info? How does this actually change your next run? Let's pull it all together.
All right, here are the big takeaways. First, structure is everything if you want to break a plateau.
Second, when you do a VO2 max workout, your goal isn't just to run fast. It's to spend as much time as possible in that high oxygen zone. And for that specific goal, those longer 2 to 3 minute intervals, they're the king. And finally, don't be fooled by your heart rate monitor or even by how hard a workout feels. They can both be pretty misleading.
And that really is the big question to chew on, isn't it? This science really pushes us to think differently, to look past just pure effort as the only measure of a good workout. It makes you ask yourself, is the work I'm putting in actually the smartest work for the results I want?